prepared for their defense. So, Skip Bayless, here's the question for you. Where does Seattle's defense rank among the greats?
Has this ever become a great question on this day, Stephen A. Smith? We have two issues here. We have single-season greatness, and we have, obviously, all-time historical greatness. Let's do single-season first. I still don't think this Seattle defense this season was better than the 85 Bears were in their single season. Now, if we're going to project on to all-time greatness, obviously, Buddy Ryan, who was the architect and driving force of the Bears defense, left after that game to be the head coach, as you well know, of the Philadelphia Eagles. That defense basically just lasted one season and then began to fall apart in the next 3 seasons. So we can't do historical greatness. This Seattle defense, off what I saw last night, being the 5th youngest defense or 5th youngest team ever to make it to a Super Bowl, has a real chance to become the all-time greatest defense. But I will give it the 2nd greatest single-season defense to the Bears. And the only reason I make it 2nd is, I remind you, Stephen A., and I was there covering these games in '85, the Bears, in their first home playoff game against Phil Simms and Bill Parcells' New York Giants, 21-0 shutout. The Giants had no chance. Second game, NFC Championship game against Eric Dickerson's Los Angeles Rams, albeit with Dieter Brock at quarterback, 24-0. And then, even though it was only the 9th best offense that year, Tony Eason's New England Patriots in the Super Bowl, New England wound up with 123 total yards and got beat down, got punked 46-10. A late touchdown pass from the backup quarterback, Steve Grogan, to give them their only touchdown. Last night, Peyton did have 306 total yards, albeit some of them garbage time, 4th quarter yards. But still, I think the Bears defense was just a little bit more intimidating than even the Seattle defense was for 1 year. All time, that remains to be seen. But I give this group, Legion of Boom, a real shot to go down as the all-time best, even beyond the steel curtain defense that you fell in love with as a kid with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I give him a shot as well, but you are right. Long term, I think about the, I love the steel curtain. Me, Joe Green, L.C. Greenwood, Jack Lambert, Jack Ham, Mel Blunt, those boys. I definitely love that. And considering the Super Bowls that they won, beat Roger Staubach in the Super Bowl, beat Fran Tarkenton in a Super Bowl, beat the Oakland Raiders to get to the Super Bowl with Kenny Stabler and those boys. I definitely, long term, I'm looking from an historical perspective. I got to look at the Steelers a little bit differently. But in terms for one season, I thought about Chicago, and I remember Steve Grogan. What stood out in my mind about the Chicago Bears in that '85 Super Bowl. That Super Bowl, the New England Patriots had 11 rushes for 7 yards. They rushed for 7 yards on 11 carries. I mean, just completely shut down. But again, New England wasn't that much of a juggernaut to me, so the 46-10 beatdown was something we sort of saw coming. When I look at the 2000 Ravens, like my brother Ray Lewis broke down to me the other day, their defense, how Marvin Lewis was the defensive coordinator, and Ray was talking to them. Listen, we're going to play them. We're going to give up any big plays or whatever. Make them beat you incrementally because Kerry Collins can't do it. You stop the run, they can't run on you. You're going to get in his face, and he can't take that beating all day long. He's going to succumb to that level of pressure. And that's exactly what they did in losing to the Giants 34-7. Losing to the Ravens 34-7. But what I saw yesterday, here's where it stands out in my mind. Chicago did that against Tony Mason, Steve Grogan. Ravens did it against Kerry Collins. There was no Phil Simms or Jeff Hostetler. The Seattle Seahawks did this to Peyton Manning, who entered the game with 5 weapons, with the most prolific offense in the game, even from an historical perspective. And they damn near shut him out. I mean, if it wasn't for them zoning it up, softening things a little bit, stepping back, being in prevent mode, the Denver Broncos may not have scored a point. Peyton Manning, with Julius and Demaryius Thomas, with Eric Decker, with a Wes Welker, with a No Sean Moreno, who was almost reduced to tears again yesterday. This time not because of the national anthem, just because of the national disgrace that his teammates were exhibiting. Bottom line is, the Seattle Seahawks defense did this to Peyton Manning. This may be, in my mind, the greatest defensive Super Bowl performance I have ever seen. I can't think of a Super Bowl performance on defense that was better than what I saw yesterday.
How about for a whole single regular season plus playoffs, just a one-season defense?
They're in a discussion, but I remember them losing to Arizona to close out the next to last game of the season, if I remember correctly. I thought San Francisco could have had that in that NFC Championship game. The defense was really good, but I thought there were some vulnerabilities there, and San Francisco could have won that game. So I didn't see that during the Bears when they won 21-0 against the Giants and then 28-0 in that NFC Championship game. I didn't see that. So it's a debate, but it's argumentative. I just think that for this one game in the Super Bowl, I've never seen a defensive performance like this.
Okay, I'm going to go for one single season. I'll go Bears, 85 Bears 1, this Seattle defense 2, and Ray Lewis's defense 2000 number 3. And I remind you, the Bears did it upside down from the way Seattle does it. The Bears could rush the passer in a way you have never seen anybody terrorize the passer and take away the run with the front seven. As you know, Richard Dent and Mike Singletary, we could go on and on. But their back four, their secondary, to me, was just a little better than average because it didn't have to be much better than average to be great. In this case, obviously, it's built from the back forward. With the back four, I think a little better than the front seven is, even though the front seven played great last night. But again, as pass rushers, Seattle can't measure up to the 85 Bears, and I would give the Bears a slight edge there.
All right, we leave it there. Bears, Seahawks, Ravens for Skip's single season defense.